Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. I'm still with Allan Alias, alias Cheese, and today we talk about a controversial topic, which is homosexuality in Trinidad, where he is from.
Even liking something like rock music, people make fun of you, you know? People instantly call you a devil worshiper. It was impossible, borderline impossible, to be openly gay in high school in Trinidad, and still is. I had a friend that actually committed suicide because he was gay.
Amongst a very long list of backwards things that Trinidad and Tobago are known for, they do not recognize same-sex marriage or civil unions. Same-sex couples are unable to legally adopt in Trinidad and Tobago. A poll conducted by the Vanderbilt University in 2010 found that only, and that was 10 years ago, but only 15% of Trinbagonian population supported same-sex marriage. I mean, you're originally from Trinidad, and I believe at the age of 21, you decided to move to Spain. I assume all those things are related to your decision to leave?
Yes. And more than that as well. So I don't want to spend an hour speaking, so I'll just cut up to when I was like a teenager in high school. Growing up, especially when I became a teenager and realized that a lot of my tastes were very different to the majority of the population and culture preferences in Trinidad, it became very uncomfortable and hard to have friends to talk about, to just talk to in general, really, about things that I like to do. Things that I liked to listen to, even. It came down to something as simple as just the type of music that I liked. The music that I liked, especially as a teenager, was mostly rock music, right? I was very into like grunge, the early 90s grunge and even early 2000s and stuff. I was listening to a lot of Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, and then a lot of progressive rock music, and I loved it. I even started becoming a drummer and stuff. I could never talk about that in high school because the majority of people in Trinidad listen to rap music, Jamaican dancehall music, just very rap-based dance, and a lot of dance music, a lot of pop. So even liking something like rock music, people make fun of you, you know? People instantly call you a devil worshiper because you're listening to Green Day. It's like, have you listened to Green Day? It's like people talking about skateboarding and getting drunk and just partying, you know, and dumb stuff like that. It's like, hello, you know, of course, being homosexual, it was impossible, borderline impossible, to be openly gay in high school in Trinidad, and still is. You can't just be openly gay and not get ridiculed and not even potentially be hurt, you know, because there are people who have been killed and people still get killed for being just something as simple as gay in a Caribbean country, you know? A lot of this has to do with the mindsets that people grow up with. A lot of the reason too, as to why certain countries are even referred to as third world, is because of the mindsets of people and the inability that they have to change and have an open-minded point of view, right? But a lot of it is not their fault. People grow up in these kind of countries being taught this is bad, this is that.
Yeah.
So when they grow up, they don't know how else to think, especially if they continue living in a country like that. You know, where even as an adult, the culture is still the same. So a lot of it is you can't even blame the people for the point of views that they have. A lot of it is religion based, which is sad because I always love to think that the idea of religion is good, but the reason why I'm not religious anymore is because I realize it's to me, I always thought religion, or I eventually thought religion is just more damaging than good.
Yeah.
And a lot of it has to do with the fact that people just don't know how to think for themselves.
Yeah.
They get taught that being gay is awful and you would go to hell. And they just grew up always accepting that and they never had that time to just sit down to think, maybe people don't wake up one day and just decide, I like dick now, It's like something as ridiculous as that. It's so simple to just think for yourself and realize, people actually don't choose their sexual orientation. A lot of people just don't even have that thought, far less anything else. So when you grow up in a culture like that, like in my case, I had to get out of it, when I was trying to remember my age, either 14 or 15, I had a friend that actually committed suicide because he was gay. And somebody blackmailed him into basically telling all of his friends, and he couldn't handle it, and he actually killed himself. And I would never forget it, obviously, because it was a very impactful moment. And also, that's when I officially started realizing, if I don't accept myself, I could possibly end up like my friend, for the lack of a better way to say it, And that's when I actually met one of my close friends that admitted to me that he was bisexual. So having somebody else that was in the LGBTQ spectrum to just talk to about being different helped me a lot to accept myself and be more comfortable. And about 2-3 years later, I came out to my parents, and thank God that they were loving about it, and they kind of just already figured it out. And I was like, okay, thank God I have a supporting family for the most part. Some of them took longer for them to accept, but
yeah.
So then I was able to at least go through that, without having too hard of a time. And then when I finished high school, got older, and realized what I wanted to do, and realized that being there was not the thing to do, that's when I made the decision to come to Spain. Even though I came by myself, I was like, I have to come to Spain. And the reason why I chose Spain, a lot of people don't know why, is because my dad's family lives in Spain. Because my grandfather on my dad's side was Spanish. So I actually have Spanish citizenship. So I was like, I have European citizenship. My dad's family lives there. And I'm young. Just finished high school. Like, it's the obvious decision.
Yeah, sounds like the logical thing to do.
Bye, Mom. I'm going to Spain. And she was happy. She was like, yeah, I mean, it's the best thing for you. So I did it. And now I'm here.
It's amazing that you at least managed to get a little bit sort of support, especially from the people that you needed it the most from.
Yeah.
And now you live with your grandmother, is that correct?
I live with my grandmother and now my brother.
So it was really a mix of a lot of things that made you move. It wasn't just like one event. There's just don't see yourself in the future there.
I guess, to mention as well, not only all of that, the social aspects, but it was also the fact that there's not a lot of opportunities in a very small island like Trinidad.
Right.
Like how people move to LA because they want to pursue acting.
Yeah, the same thing.
To be able to pursue a lot of things you can't do in Trinidad. So you have to kind of move, And I quickly realized as a young teenager even that I did not care for sciences or businesses. I did not want to study that stuff. And in Trinidad, that's basically the only two things that really you could do. There's no other forms of work that you could really find substantial that has to do with the arts, music, any art forms, languages, that kind of stuff, geography. It doesn't really exist in Trinidad. And I quickly realized I'm artistic.
Yeah.
All I like is the arts. I love music. I'm a musician. I love video games, and I love languages. My favorite subjects were language. I loved learning French and Spanish. I was like, oh my God, this is so much fun. I want to learn a bunch of languages. I want to be a translator. I want to be a language teacher. That's what and I didn't even think to even mention that to my friends because they would have laughed at me. So when I got older, I realized, okay, Europe. I'm a citizen of Spain. I could be in Europe. Europe has tons of languages. What better place to be if I love learning new languages? So yeah, it was just the obvious choice and best case scenario at that point.
Do you see a light at the end of the tunnel over there? Do you think it'll get better?
Yes, some part, a very small part. Yes, because mostly just based off of the fact that I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago, they actually had LGBT rights protests that happened in Trinidad for the first time ever, and a lot of it was actually received pretty positively. Nothing came out of it. No laws were changed. It's still illegal. Same-sex marriage is still illegal and stuff, but at least there were a lot of people who actually protested, which shows that there is a percentage of people there that want change and actually really, really care. So in that, it exists. The potential exists, but I don't see anything changing in the near future. That's what I'll say. In the near future, I don't see any change. In the very far future, probably at least some things would change.
Well, you'd think it takes multiple decades to make some changes in that perspective. If when you think about it, I don't think, like, I don't know about Europe, but for North America, it hasn't been that long since being openly gay and being able to get married. Like it hasn't been like 200 years, might be what, 20, 30 years since like things have changed. So considering you have a country that's, lagging behind on multiple things, it's not really surprising to see this being a thing. And, you would hope that movements are starting now so that 20, 30 years from now, you can have, a young Allan that doesn't have to bail out because he can't be who he is. That's
exactly.
What do you miss from Trinidad?
The only thing I could really think of is the food.
I was gonna say there's got to be food. It's whenever you leave your hometown, it's always food.
Yeah. The food is good. The food is because there's a very high Indian population in Trinidad, so there's a lot of Indian food, and the Indian food is really good. There's a lot of curry, a lot of roti, a lot of different forms of roti like dal puri and all that kind of stuff. That's like all this new stuff, and it's amazing. And they have the signatures Trinidadian food dish, whatever you want to call it, that's called doubles, which is almost inexplicable and indescribable because it's like a very unique thing. It's like a type of dough that they fry with chickpeas in a certain sauce that's similar to curry, and then they put it together in like a sandwich thing, and you could put anything you want in it, and it's like the most it's amazing. That kind of stuff, yeah, I definitely miss. But like, can I go without it? Of course, because just being in a better country where I can be whoever the hell I want to be, and exactly, it's literally like if you take a balance, like, okay, Trinidad, Spain, food in Trinidad, it's like okay,
barely. Hold on, the camera's here, so just.
But Spain is still all the way up here, So no, obviously, I'm not just gonna go back because I like the food.
Yeah.
And with that said, Spain has amazing food too. So. It's just of course my family I miss a lot, and they actually want to come to Spain. They're absolutely tired of Trinidad as well.
Did you get to see them since?
I visited twice. Has it only been twice? Wow. Yeah, I came to Spain in early 2016. I visited them for Christmas 2016, and then for Christmas again in 2018.
Oh, that's cool.
But only twice. So,
is there anything that you and I can do you think, to help the situation there? I mean, we can talk about it. I know personally I can't do anything, but as a whole, as a community online, there's young.
You mean like what we can do as content creators?
I guess us or communities, people online. Just what can people do to maybe help? Is there anything do you think people can do to help?
I think one thing is Americans could start thinking that America is the only place in the world.
Well, I'm Canadian, so I don't think that.
Yeah, no, that's why like you're safe. Not a lot of American teachings in schools is pretty damaging to countries around America, I've realized. Because a lot of kids, 99% of kids that grow up in America are literally taught, and I know this because I have friends who've told me this, and my brother has told me it, and he's gone to college in the US. Kids are taught that they're only taught things in America. They're taught American history, they're taught American geography, and they're taught American ethics and all these things, and nothing else. A lot of people grow up literally not even knowing that Europe is a continent and there's countries in it. They have no idea that Trinidad is even a thing that exists. You know, I've had people ask me, how do you get internet in Trinidad? You know, like crazy things like that. It's like
what?
So just not being, I think being oblivious to other countries even existing and what's going on in those countries,
their issues, and
is probably a bad start. So just being aware of what goes on around you is a great start into possibly helping situations to get better. Because if you don't know what's going on, then everyone that's like in Trinidad, they won't have anywhere other people to reach out to be able to receive help, because other people don't even know that you exist for us what's going on.
They're completely disconnected to the reality. Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And a lot of problems arise when on Twitter, for example, I would talk about a certain issue, and immediately it's a backlash, like, oh, what are you talking about? Because this is the law and that's the law and this is the thing. And I'm like, yeah, for your country. But remember, I'm in Spain. You know, I came from Trinidad. I'm not talking about America.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about England or whatever, you know. It's like, so that I think would be the best start, probably. People talking about other cultures more often and not just only Western culture and only Donald Trump 24/7. You know what I mean?
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks. That's the Let's Chat segment. Join us tomorrow as we do a speedrun quiz.